And the third speaker who has input is, as I was told, is a friendly competitor of Delman. He's also from the apparel industry. It's Stanley, I'm not sure how we pronounce your last, Szeto, okay? Stanley Szeto is CEO from Lever Style, Hong Kong, and it's going to be very interesting to see how you approach the issue. Please, Stanley.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. So, well, first of all, yeah, we are in the same industry with Delman. So I guess if you've heard Delman's presentation, you don't need to hear mine. I guess you know, here's the door. But
no, that's not the case.
Yeah, thank you.
I will ask different questions.
All right. All right. So how does this work? Just press this. Yeah. So we are also in the apparel making business, and I'll just show you some of the clients that we work with. You may not have heard of us, but you've probably heard of them. So in case anybody wants to have come join our sample sale, please let me know. But seriously, we've been in business for about 50 plus years. We started life in Hong Kong, and now our facilities are in southern China. We run 4 facilities of about maybe 8,000 people, so supplying brands and retailers all over the world, with the US being our largest market with about 1/3 of our sales. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about what we've done on sustainability. About 4 years ago, we were just looking at our P&L, and we were saying utilities cost was becoming a very big part of our operating cost. And as a result, we formed a quality control circle. For those of you who are in manufacturing, from a while back, we have these little quality initiatives to make improvements. And we started looking into how we can reduce our energy bill. And as we learned more and more about utilities and energy, we felt that there's a lot of potential for cost savings. And by the time maybe 2007 or so came around, we got exposed to the whole green movement. And we, as a company, we sort of decided that being green is not just for economic benefit, but also it is the right thing to do. And then eventually, I guess in the last couple of years, we started hearing customers talk about it. And they want to work with suppliers who are green. So from our company's perspective, there are 3 main reasons why we're doing this. 1, it makes economic sense. It saves energy. 2, it is the right thing to do. And 3, our customers are starting to look for it, if not demand it. But I think in the next 5–10 years, our customers will have more and more requirements in this area. So in 2008, we were actually working with Delman's company, working with WWF, in the same LCMP program, Low Carbon Manufacturing Program, where we worked with WWF and their consultants to help manage our carbon footprint. So we did a few things like energy saving projects, like changing light bulbs. Basically, I don't need to rehash everything that Delman's done because we've done pretty much the same thing. And we've achieved pretty much about a 20% reduction in our carbon footprint and corresponding energy bill. And we've also gotten everybody in the company to be much more aware of the green requirements. And we're also doing some things that are not related to energy bill, such as we're trying to reduce the noise pollution. We're trying to set up the internal infrastructure for recycling plastic bottles, cans, and so forth. For those of you who live in the West, that's just basic stuff from 20 years ago. But for us out here in emerging Asia, recycling is a pretty novel concept still. So, there's a little picture here that we're having building a new plant as we speak, and that new plant, when we do it on a greenfield basis, it's much easier to put green initiatives into it than to retrofit our existing plants. So I guess you guys are all in the government or in the policy-making bodies. And I guess the reason why I've been asked to maybe share my views is how does the private sector feel about it? And what does the private sector feel can be done, can the government do more in order to encourage more of this sustainability efforts? And I just have a few recommendations. 1, getting affordable advice by programs like WWF's LCMP program. Before we started working with them, we were sort of doing things on our own, and there are all these consultants out there that we didn't know whether they were any good. They could have been quoting very high prices, and as novices, we get gun shy. We don't know, whether it's worth doing or not. So when WWF came along, and then there was this opportunity to work with reputable companies and consultants at affordable sums, we jumped on it. And of course, at the end, it turned out that it is a great investment. But if we had not encountered that program, we may not have known about it, and we may still be doing little things on our own and not making much progress. The second recommendation is having performance standardization or accreditation of green equipment. One of the projects that we did was converting light tubes from the original, I think, T8 to T5. And when we were doing that, we're seeing hundreds and thousands of choices in the market. And we didn't know which ones were good, which ones were bad, which ones actually saved energy, and which ones didn't, or bogus, or something. And as a result, we had to actually test a lot of different products over a 6-month period, track the energy usage, and so forth, in order to arrive at some conclusion on what works and what doesn't. But in the West, there is a lot of standardization and performance, sort of telling you the performance of a product. For example, when you buy a car and you want to find out how fuel efficient it is, they tell you about how many miles per gallon in the US, so you can compare across different products. And in Hong Kong, there are some products that are sold locally that that are accredited by the Hong Kong government, the Hong Kong Quality Mark or something. So basically, if you buy that, you know that it's of a certain quality. But when we were looking into these sort of equipment, we really didn't know, and we had to go, we had to make a lot of effort to find out. And if there are certain standardization schemes that can help educate us, novices like us, because we don't know this stuff, to differentiate the good from the bad, that will really help speed up our efforts. Third one is green financing. As we do a lot of retrofitting and so forth, buying equipment that makes sense, if we can get more availability of green financing at hopefully preferential terms, that will make the decision even easier. Especially during tough economic times like today's, a lot of companies, including ours, don't have a lot of spare cash, floating around and saying, let's make an investment that's going to pay back in 5 years. That is a luxury that we may not have. But if there is green financing from banks or, or subsidized interest rates subsidized by the government, that will certainly make things a lot easier. Brownouts. Again, for those of you from the West, brownouts are a thing of the past. But in southern China, even as of 2 years ago, we were suffering major, very frequent brownouts. And we didn't have electricity like 3 days out of the week during the summer peak season. And what did companies like us do? We had to resort to our own power generators, burning diesel and polluting the air. Because if we didn't do that, we can't get our goods out and we wouldn't be around anymore. So it was like a necessity for us to pollute, and it just didn't feel right. Fortunately, with the financial crisis, manufacturing activity went down, and therefore there is now enough power supply in these couple of years. But who knows what's going to happen down the road? And but that's China, which is already slightly more developed. If you have countries like Indonesia, Bangladesh, Vietnam, India, and so forth, I bet that brownouts are still a commonplace occurrence. And when that happens, companies will have to have their own power generation and therefore polluting the air, being very energy inefficient. So if governments can help ensure that there are no brownouts, that would be a great help. And recycling infrastructure. I mentioned that a couple of years ago we started having having recycling bins in our company, collecting cans and papers and so forth. But then after we set that up, we found out that the government actually doesn't have an infrastructure to collect them. So what happens is we just give it to the waste company, and I believe even to this day that they just sort of throw it away with all their normal garbage. Mm-hmm. So our recycling efforts are actually not used at the end. So if governments can expand the recycling infrastructure to even the more rural areas or the manufacturing centers, companies like us can do our part to recycle things. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So please take a seat here in the middle.